Okay, if everybody will turn to page 234. 234. We're going to look at word problems where we're going to solve factoring. Part of what I want you to turn there so I don't have to write out the entire word problem. I'm going to read it to you. It says the decorator plans to place a rug in a room 12 meters by 9 meters by 12 meters so that the uniform strip of flooring around the rug will remain uncovered. How wide will this strip be if the area of the rug is to be half the area of the room? So it says area of the room. So the room is, it's a rug that is 9 by 12. So the rug is 9 by 12. I'm going to redraw that. So here's our rug, 9 by 12. And then we have our room. Okay, so let's talk the small rectangle and the big rectangle. It says, so what do we know about the area, of the, I did that wrong. Helps if you rethrow it. The room is 9 by 12, not the rug, sorry. So if the room is 9 by 12, how big is the area of the large rectangle? Twelve times 9, length times width. Anybody? 108, there we go. So the whole thing's 108. So that big one, and then that's for the rug. So the room is 108. Now we need to figure out the rug. The last sentence, it says the area of the rug is half of this, half of the room. So if the room was 108, what would half of the room be? 54. Okay, so now we have to come in and try and figure out what are the dimensions. This is a uniform strip, so it means it's the same distance all around. So if it's the same on every side, we don't know what number it is, but what should we call it if it's the same every place right now? We don't know what it is, but so if we don't know what it is, it's a variable, so we could say it's x. So if it's x here, it's x here, it's x here, and it's x here, correct? So I'm going to move these numbers so they look better. So if this was 12, this is 12 minus these two portions, correct? So 12 minus 1x and 2x would be 2x. Now this portion is 9 minus the 2x's. Okay. So if we find area, how do we find area? Length times width. I'm going to come over here to that. Sixth grade. I think they brought me snacks. Okay. Then what is the area of that small one? What did we say it was? 54. So the area is the length times the width. We also know that the area is 54. So we have an equation set up with one variable. How could we get rid of these parentheses? We could FOIL. So we've got our two first terms, 12 times 9. Our outers, 12 times negative 2x. Inners, negative 2x times 9. And our last, negative 2x times negative 2x. So let's figure all those out and then bring it down equal to 54. 12 times 9, we said was 108. Negative 24x. Negative 18x. Positive 4x squared. So all we did was FOIL so far. These two both have x. What could we do with them? Combine them. Put them together, combine them. Make that look more like an x. So we have 108 minus 42x plus 4x squared equals 54. In order to solve these, what does our equation have to equal? Anybody remember? 0. So in order for it to equal 0, we're going to subtract off 54. So that gives us 54 minus 42x plus 4x squared equals 0. Okay. We can make it a little bit simpler. Is there anything common in all of these? 2. 4 does not go in that because that would be 40. 4 is my first thought as well, but let's take out 2. So we get 27 minus 21x plus 2x squared. It's going to make it easier to factor. It still equals 0. So I'm going to come over and erase this picture. Two times 27 minus 21x plus 2x squared equals 0. Now, let's divide by 2 and see what happens. What's 0 divided by 2? 0. So that 2 went away. So we've already made our equation simpler. Now, we have a coefficient here and here. What do we need to do with those two? Multiply them. We get 54. Factor pair that adds up to be 21. 18 and 3. Okay. So we know it's negative 18x and negative 3x. And the only reason I was able to do that so quickly is I've done this long enough. I can do them. If you needed to, then list them out. Okay, that wouldn't be a bad thing. Because obviously, the first place I kind of started thinking was 9, but I knew that wasn't enough, and so these had to be further apart. Okay. So now we've cut it in half. What's common in these two? 4, 9. I'll go with 9. It's the biggest. So 3 minus 2x. That's positive, so that we need to take out negative. So we get 3x gives you 3 minus 2x. So they are the same, which is good. That's what we want. What did I miss here? Oh no, 1x. Sorry, that's what we need. So it wasn't just a negative, it was an x because they both had an x. So we have 9 minus x, 3 minus 2x equals 0. Now what do we do with each factor? We set them equal to 0.
So you have to solve for each.
So we get 9 minus x equals 0 and 3 minus 2x equals 0. So if we do this, we subtract off 9, or this, well, it's fine. I'm going to show you a different way on this one. X is negative, so let's move it across. That goes away, x equals 9. Okay. Same thing here, x is negative, let's move it across. So 2x equals 3. So x equals 3 halves. To our drawing. We're not. Okay. So let's think about our numbers. 3 halves, if we did that, these would be, 5 feet. Does that make sense? So if we took off 1.5, this whole thing now would be 9, and this would be 6. Does that seem like it can make sense? What's 9 times 6? 54, which is what we said the rug could be. Right. So that works. Now let's go back and think about 9. So could each of these parts be 9 feet? Because this would be add up to 18, but the whole thing was only 12. So could that make sense? And this whole part would be 9, yet the whole thing, same way, is only 9. So does that one, could that work?
No.
No. So 9 does not work. So we would cancel out. On word problems, when you get answers, go back and plug them in to see did that work or did that not work. Sometimes they're not going to work. And so you have to figure out, that would have made it a negative rug, and that's not possible. Okay. I want to do one more of the first ones. Number 2 on page 235. It says a number is subtracted from its square. This is number 2. A number is subtracted from its square. The result is 72. So we have the number. What would its square be if it was x? X squared. So it says a number is subtracted from its square. So we need to have a number subtracted from its square. The result is mean equals 72. This one's going to be easier than the last one. So in order to solve this, it has to equal 0. So we subtract 72 equals 0. Now it's set up for us to factor. We have no coefficient, so we just need the factors of 72. Let's subtract to be 1. 8 and 9, and we need negative 1. So 8 minus 9. So x plus 8, x minus 9 equals 0. What do we do with each factor then? So x plus 8 equals 0, x minus 9 equals 0. So x could equal negative 8, or x could equal positive 9. So again, let's go back and check them just to make sure. So x, if we choose negative 8 squared minus negative 8. 64 plus 8 equals 72. That's true. Let's try it with 9. 9 squared minus 9. 81 minus 9 is 72. So both of them work. Okay. 3 halves are 1.5. Okay. 9 did not work because it was not a solution. All right. So what we're going to do today, not a ton of these. I know they take a little bit of time. So on 235 and 236, let's do 1 to 11 odd. Okay. Let's try those 5, 6 questions. Yes, sir.